All right, good morning, everyone. We're super, sorry, I see one last
I
hand.
just want to say hello.
Yes, hi, thanks for coming. All right, good morning, everyone. So we're super excited to be presenting to you guys our project that won the AI Kickers Live Hackathon version 2. It was a really fun project, and we won 2 prizes. One which was best use of Windsurf ID, and the second which was best use of the web crawl. So without further ado, we'll get into the fun stuff, which is the demo and what exactly our project is. The main motivation behind this project was that booking flights can be really difficult. Sometimes you can't constantly monitor prices, and all of us who are students, sometimes we got to get to different locations, and it's super easy to miss out on the right price for you. So our original idea was that we could use the power of AI agents and be able to build an application that can make flight booking a whole lot easier, simply to have your preferences put into an application, and then the idea was to have the flight to be booked on your behalf, but we do not have that implemented at the moment, but maybe that's something that we can look at in the future. But let's get straight into the demo. We have our front end built in React. We had a 4th teammate who couldn't be here today, but he built the front end solely using the Windsurf ID and the different models there. Our personal favorite was Claude Sonnet 4. It's amazing at coding. So it's a React front end, and all it takes is 3 entries. First off, where's your departure location? So for example, I might be going from Ottawa. Where you want to head to, so I'll go ahead and put something like Los Angeles. And then the maximum price that fits within your affordability range. So let's put 500 just as an example. So when we go ahead and click search flights, we pretty much have this data just stored into a Firebase database, and we have a monitoring system that runs constantly over here. So basically this monitoring system detects when a user has entered a new entry into the database, and we have a LangChain agent with an MCP server that pretty much has tools. And one of those tools is to use Tabili, which can pretty much go across the internet, and it will find prices for us. If you see some different text here, that was one challenge we ran into during the project, was that there were so many people on the IP making requests to the API that it completely stopped working. So right now, this is some fallback data we have for the purpose of the demo. But if we go and see over here, we'll see that our agent reasons, it calls a tool that can pretty much find the flight prices. If we go back to our application, we'll have the different flight prices displayed for us that fall within our price range. And then once again, the idea was that it could be kind of booked automatically, but that will be implemented later. Something else that's kind of cool about the project is that in case we ever want to revisit previous flight prices that we may have seen, we're always able to search. So for example, if you look at the bottom, everything kind of updates in real time, and we see the different flight prices that we have previously visited. Overall, challenging project, lots and lots of fun. And I see a question over here. Yes.
Where's the quantity for the number of tickets?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Ansh, where is the quantity for the number of tickets? Like, what happens if I want to book for 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 4 tickets?
So we had 5 hours to build this. So that is an amazing idea, and definitely something that should be included in the future. I love that idea, Alan, but that's not something we had for our demo here. Really big time crunch, but thank God the use of AI, Windsurf, having the chatbot, we were able to get this as our working demo. Yes.
Thank you.
So it's an application for lonely people.
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, it can be used by anyone, even if you're a small company, small business, you gotta travel somewhere. Who doesn't like cheap flight prices, right? So, honestly, for everyone.
How does it different from, let's say, Google Flights?
We wanted to put a booking feature into it.
Yeah. Also, your phones are paid guarantees. Right.
Really?
Yeah, for those who don't know that, yeah. But it's a link to the free account, so nothing, no payments are
Yes.
no. Yeah.
So our idea was to make a booking tool rather than just a tracker. So who noticed it? Everybody? But yeah, so our idea was to make a booking tool. So say I'm from Winnipeg, so I travel back and forth a lot. And when I have to book a flight, I put a tracker on it, and say the price drops at 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm not awake to book the flight automatically over manually. So when I wake up, the price jumps back up and I miss the opportunity. So the idea behind it was that we can, utilize the AI agents and MCP to book the flight on your behalf, so you don't have to rely on travel agent or give the commission to them. It can be cheaper. This isn't implemented because this is just a prototype we built in 5 hours, not a functional MVP. But if we have enough motivation, we can put the feature in and maybe make it available to public. What do you think about it?
So I think the Google Flights also has this real-time
The tracking?
but then
Yes.
it will send you a mail.
It does. I use Google Flights. It sends you an email.
But automated booking is the
It's new with me. I looked around for when I was browsing for the idea, and I was looking, and I couldn't find any tool that can book on your behalf. So if you're into tech and you wanna build a startup, this is a good idea.
Some other features, that was a really great question. So some other features we will have our other team member Derek over here, which will be talking about some of the future things that we wish we could have implemented.
All right. So that's Airserv, or at least what we have on display for you guys today. And of course, we had more plans for Airserv, which we did not get to within the time frame we had. Like some of these features we had lined up, like for example, making this voice enabled, right? So we can converse with Airserv as if it were an actual flight agent. And this being a flight travel app, we also want to bring some local, right? Make a local app for that. And these are just some ideas for us to work on in the future. Right? And these are all opportunities for massive development, which can all be streamlined really easily with Windsurf. But at a hackathon, everyone's trying to build something awesome and given the limited time we had, especially at a hackathon as I showed last week. I think we had barely 6 hours. Yeah. 5, 6. And most people, most teams, I would say, especially if we're new to Windsurf, would probably instinctively dive into Windsurf chat, build me this, build me that, and there's a lot of features that people really miss out on that were mentioned earlier, but I'll bring it over to Nolan here to talk a little bit more about how we use these in our project.
Yeah, I'll talk about a couple of Windsurf features now that we use in the project. But before that, I want to show you something which I found very cool. So, what do I put? Anything, John? It's gonna look for flight. So what I'm gonna show you is something that will pop up at the bottom. Oh, here. You see those little mini planes that pop up? That wasn't us. That was Windsurf. All of that. See these small planes? They're so cool. All made by Windsurf. I didn't implement it. I just asked it, and it did it on its own. But yeah, I'm gonna switch to flights. So switch to the slide.
Yeah.
And we're going to change the API keys after. Okay, so Windsurf has this thing called Windsurf rules.markdown file, where you can define the rules that will be applied globally. So say you have 4 features to implement in your tool. Let's just talk about Airserv for now, for reference. So let's say we want to work with 4 different other APIs like leg changeability. We wanted to build 4 different features. So for all 4 features, we had different chats. But to prevent you from repeating your prompt, Windsurf has this feature where you can add rules that will be globally applied to all your conversations. So whenever you start a new chat, Windsurf will refer to this markdown file, read all the rules, and apply them. So you don't have to repeat yourself again and again, and there's a bit of consistency in your code. and it is sufficient too. So this was our markdown file that we use, and you have to label it as windsurf rules.md for windsurf to know that it's a rules file that needs to be globally applied. Next, let's see what we next. Okay, so one good thing about windsurf, yeah.
So can we go back to the slide? So the Tabili web crawl, is it like a MCP tool that you're using in the backend?
Tabili is not MCP. So Tabili is a crawler. It kind of searches the web for you. So you know the flights, the data we gave it, Ottawa, Toronto, and the price ticket, that was fed into Tabili as parameters. And using that, it kind of searched the internet, gave us a raw data, and then that raw data was filtered to extract the information that was listed at the bottom. So, you know, I won't go much into Tabili, but one of the difficult things about getting that raw data is that you can't figure out how to filter it. I wanted to also display the airline that's providing the flight and the departure, the departure terminal and everything, but extracting that data was difficult, and even with windsurf, I had a bit of problems. So I'm gonna go a bit more into that later in upcoming slide, but yeah. Does that answer your question?
I had a follow-up question on that. So was it like a function that you created and put everything inside that function?
Yes.
Yeah, I can just add on to that. So like Nolan said, like Tabili itself is not an MCP tool, but we kind of made a tool, like we have our own MCP server, but within one of those tools, it calls us to the API. So let's say like the agent can kind of reason and be like, hey, I need to find flight prices. So we'll use that appropriate tool, have the parameters fed into Tabili web crawl.
And how do you refresh the tokens? Like you might need tokens to get to the app, right? Like when you call the Tabili app, you might need to have an API token to call that app, right?
Yeah, so we have all their API keys that I closed earlier. But yeah, pretty much like Tabili's configured. The only thing like the agent really does is like reason and be like, okay, I need to find these flight prices, and then feed the parameters into the function, and that will call accordingly.
And then Tabili gives you free credits, 1,000 free credits, and you were only like past 100, so even after intensive testing. So that's a good thing. Does that answer your question? Okay. So one of the good things about Windsurf is that it has this Windsurf University. So if you go to their website under resources, you'll find Windsurf University where it has like videos about every feature. And the good thing about it is the videos are long. So you can go through it and say you just want to learn about MCPs, you know everything about Windsurf, but there comes a new feature that they put something new out. They'll put a video out too, so you don't have to go through everything. You can just search over there. And introduction to MCPs, that's how I learned about MCPs, by going through their academy. So like it's very useful if you're new to Windsurf and want to learn about it. Okay, now this. Okay, this is the context management that I was talking about earlier in my previous talk. So one of the things we had to do was give it long explanatory prompts for it to understand what we really want from it. And for it to not hallucinate, we had to open different chats and start a new conversation. So that is what this is about. Okay, so Windsurf has 3 features that I'm not sure if any other IDE, AI IDE has. It has the MCP feature, the preview feature, and the deploy mode. And here I'm going to talk about the deploy mode. So say you made a website using Windsurf, okay? To make it public, you'll have to deploy it. You can do that right from the editor. You can just write down, so Windsurf uses Netlify to deploy its project. So you can just write deploy this project to Netlify, or you can click on that rocket button and then the deploy button, and within seconds, your website is public to anyone. You can share it, and you can kind of like even change the domain and customize it, just all inside of Windsurf. Okay, so this is the debugging part I was talking about. So AI isn't perfect, right? There were things that Windsurf couldn't solve for us, so we had to debug it on our own. And when we found the bug, we asked it to fix it. So, and if in case it couldn't fix it, we had to make it refer to the documentation. So this is not up to date. Like, say there's the SWE model, okay? It's not up to date with respect to real time. So its memory is updated periodically. So say Tailwind released a new feature and they have it in their documentation, and the AI is not updated, but you want to implement that feature. So one good thing about Windsurf is that you can tag the documentation and make Windsurf go through it so that it understands the new features and it can implement those for you. So in case you're trying to debug and you think that the AI is lost, you can always take the documentation in instead of manually reading it yourself, so it functions better. And yeah, that is all about Windsurf and how we use it for our air reserve tool to win the hackathon.
Is free?
It is free, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna pass it on to Anton. Oh, you got it. Okay.
I had a question around like knowledge management. So, like for example, for integrating civility or like certain implementations, were you guys using like Context 7 or something, or like an MCP for the docs on like how to?
You're asking how we learn about Civility and its functionality?
Yeah, because like for example, there is like an MCP server, Context 7, that if you search up a library, it provides like snippets of how to implement features. Were you using something like that, or just providing context in your prompts?
For Tavili, I implemented Tavili. He worked with MCP, so he's going to answer your MCP question. For Tavili, I didn't read Tavili's documentation. I used the chat feature in Windsurf to learn about Tavili along the way as I was working with it. And then when I found, then I made a plan with it. We don't have time, otherwise I would have shown it. But then I made a plan with it, and then asked Windsurf to tackle every task in that plan one by one. As it tackled the task, I reviewed it. If it was good, I approved it. It kind of crossed it out, and then moved on to the other one. But I didn't go to Tavili's website or LangChain's website. Always done within the editor using the chat tool and the write tool. He's gonna answer your MCP question.
For sure. So our whole group, we were like new to MCP, so it's just a great learning experience for us. Heavily influenced by AI, I'll be honest, with the Windsurf ID. But what you're talking about with like Tavili having something regarding MCPs, I'm pretty sure we did glance at that, but that's not something we entirely used. So Nolan worked on like the function, and we were able to test it just by calling it regularly, just like a normal function. You pass in your parameters. And then after that, the whole point of the integration was kind of taking that function as a tool and having it like as a tool for our LangChain agent. So then you have like all the comments like, oh, how do you pass the parameters in, how you'll get the results. So we pretty much wanted the agent itself to be able to insert those parameters into that function and then return the output. So does that kind of answer what you? All right, for sure. You got some more questions at the back? Yes.
Yes. How much writing of code did you actually do versus reviewing code?
Great question. Honestly, brutally honest, a lot of reviewing code and a lot of reiterating. Like there was a section on reiterating with AI earlier, so less writing of code, definitely. Once again, vibe coding. So if you guys aren't familiar with that term, it's like coding with AI. So
just to build on it, so did you do any brainstorm for like your tech stack and all of that stuff before speaking to the AI, or did you just tell it this is what I want to achieve, figure everything out?
So in little chunks mainly, like for example, we want to get an understanding, not just like blindly trust AI. So we got a little understanding about MCPs, right? And then after that, like little chunks at a time. So the first step was to get Tavili function working on itself. Second step was to have an MCP server running with just a simple tool, like add numbers, and see if we can attach that to like a client and then call that function. And then we slowly kind of built the project into chunks, so not just giving the AI the prompt all at once because it would mess up. It's really better at doing little bits at a time. So, and another like iteration we had was, okay, now we're able to call the tool using the agent, but can we now have a monitoring system? And then upon entry of the database, can we then call the agent to pretty much reason and see what it needs to do? So little chunks 100%, not all at once. It wouldn't have worked out. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of this. 5 hours to build this application. I was wondering if there were any things that surprised you or that you felt were challenges.
Yeah, for sure. These might be a bit subjective to us, so I'll ask my teammates after. But for me personally, I'm not gonna lie. As much as I love AI, I feel like it could be really annoying sometimes with a lot of test files, a lot of markdown files. Like if we're asking it to implement something, or if I take the example of the database, like can you detect when something is put into the database? It would create all these unnecessary test files, the separate HTML file to test on another UI, and then all these markdown files step by step. And then when you ask it that it doesn't work, you know, this might be the issue, it'll create those all over again. So that was pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie. We have a bunch of clutter in the repository. We plan to clean it up really soon, just because there's a bunch of unnecessary stuff in there. But yeah, I feel like just the reiterating and prompting properly was kind of the challenging part of doing that. If you guys have anything to add on certain challenges, for people, go ahead.
You asked how many lines of code we had to write and how much we reviewed. So I wrote at most like 30 to 40 lines, and it had like over 3,000 lines. So like, yeah, everything was mostly reviewing. You also asked if we knew about the tech stack beforehand, or we discussed with AI. We discussed it with AI. We had the idea beforehand and how we wanted to implement it, but we didn't know how we would do it. So we went to the chat mode. I changed it to GPT because that's better for conversations. So we talked to it. We tried to hit like 7-8 prizes out of the 10. So we wanted to implement everything. So we made our structure in such a way, our tech stack in such a way that we hit everything. We price stack. So, and then from that, we decided what our tech stack would be, and if we use React for front end or what else, we use Tailwind for CSS. Yeah.
I actually have a follow-up. So you said something interesting that you use GPT for the conversation. For the actual coding, did you change the model to something different?
Yeah, he used Claude, which is why he had so many test files, because Claude is, it likes to create test files and test every chunk of code. So we had a lot of clutter because of him.
Oh, wow.
But he cleaned it up today morning, including my demo files. But GPT, I believe, is good for conversations, and Claude is powerful when it comes to coding. It's just that it creates test files, but the good thing about Windsurf is that it has this memory feature where say you told Windsurf to, don't make test files, okay? Or make it, but delete it if the test passes. It'll save that in its memory, and then you won't have to repeat it again every time you go and, do the same process. It'll make the test files on its own and delete it. So there's less clutter. So it has this memory feature like ChatGPT.
Maybe just the last thing.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned a few times an agent. Was this an agent you built yourself or an agent that came from Tabili?
Not an agent from Tabili, so pretty much just like we had our MCP server, LangChain agent we used, I forgot what model we used, but we defined our own tools for it though. So yeah. Very, very simple. Once again, it was more like an introductory for all of us, because MCPs is something like new and exciting, so we want to work with it.
Your repo is public, right?
Yeah, it's public. Don't look at it. It's public.
We gotta clean it up. You can
I'll share it with you after this session.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we'll take this one class.
So, did you work privately or as a team of people?
As a team of people, and vibe coding with a team of people is really difficult.
How did you tie it together? That's what I struggle with the most. Is write something in one windsurf window, something in another windsurf window, and then getting them to talk is a whole new exercise to make them work together.
Do you use version control or no?
Pardon?
Do you use version control? Like,
Yes,
do
I
you use
do.
Git? And then you make new branches for each
Yeah.
feature? And even then, when you merge it, it's like it has conflicts?
Yeah, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I spend a lot of time making one interface talk to another interface.
That,
Yeah, no, that's completely reasonable. For us, I feel like it was more just like really keeping each other updated constantly. Like when we were working together, like I feel like as a developer, usually you'll have like that time period where you're kind of independent working. For us, it was constant talking. Like if I'm doing something, I'm making changes here. Like these guys know constantly. If these guys are making changes, we all know constantly. So like honestly, that's a great concern, but I feel like it depends how you work around it and how you kind of separate the features, you know. So one thing that was kind of useful was like having the UI completely separated, backend completely, and then after integrating them, just so we're not like overlapping so much at times. Yeah.
So what I've ended up doing is I'll use ChatGPT to do the planning. And then from there, I'll say, okay, now create code for the back end, and then create code for the front end, and that seems to be working a lot better.
Okay, no, that's great.
but if you make two front ends features and you like then merge them together,
Yeah, so I
they
have
have
a front end,
conflicts?
a back end, and then agents that I program.
Okay.
So I have to tie the three of them together, and that's really the hardest part. It's good at making this, it's good at making this, it's good at making this, but getting them to work together is the third part.
Okay.
If you have like multiple different agents, so I totally forgot what it was, like I forget what library, like Llama Index or something, but you could like kind of have one main agent and then kind of define them all as like sub agents.
That's where I'm using ChatGPT.
Okay, yes.
I also touched on this in my presentation.
Awesome. We're gonna hand it over now to the next